number one thing is to be cautious with your calendar. Don't overcommit. And remember, it's okay to say no. I think too many of us, we just start saying yes to everything. Of course, it's nice to see everyone again. It's been a long time. But we end up saying yes to so many people. And often I say no to people and it really, like, I'm really sad and sorry. I'm going back to London. Someone messaged me the other day and they said, hey, Jay, I'd love to meet up with you in London. And I just was honest and I said, you know what? My parents haven't seen me. They've seen me once in the last 2 years. I really feel like my sister and my parents are my priority on this trip. And I'm just really sorry. I'll let you know if I have time. And I feel like it would have been so easy for me to say yes, 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 yes. And the next thing I know, my calendar's filled. I feel anxious because of my calendar being so busy. And then I feel overcommitted. You have to remember it's okay to say no. And remember, it's not saying no. It's explaining why you're saying no with the truth of what the reality is, not having to come up with an answer. But one of the reasons why we create anxiety in our lives is that we're not cautious with our calendars. And so I recommend having your calendar open every time you say yes to someone or no to someone. You look at it and use it throughout the period so that there's never a time when you're just back to back. Okay, the next one is prioritizing sleep. Now, I know this may sound counterintuitive. You may say, Jay, I want to stay up all night. I want to have fun. But what I find is that we often get unwell, we get tired, we get more anxious when we don't sleep well. When I was reading from the sleepfoundation.org, I was looking at the connection between anxiety and sleep. And I think often we're not really aware of that connection and we don't recognize how deeply interrelated they are. Research findings suggest that sleep loss and anxiety are closely linked. This was an article from Psychology Today that talked about how we've learned that sleep provides the brain with an invaluable period of transporting toxins out of neural tissue through a complex garbage removal system. Operating separately from the body's lymphatic system, the brain's trash disposal apparatus seems dependent on sleep to function properly. When you hear that, doesn't it just blow your mind and you think, wow, I thought sleep was just about getting rest, but there is so much cleansing happening. There is so much brainwashing happening during sleep. Poor sleep seems to put the brain on guard by triggering spikes in stress hormones like cortisol, producing an early AM anxiety bloom even before the day begins. I cannot stress to you all how important it is to get good sleep. Some of my favorite sleep habits include sleeping at 67 degrees Fahrenheit, to get that cooler temperature. Often we want to be cozy and warm, but you want to sleep in a room that is at 67 degrees. You want to sleep in cave-like darkness, no lights, no light coming in through the window. Get curtains, get shades, get blinds. One of my other favorite sleep techniques is making sure that I'm sleeping in a room where the sight, sense, and sounds are really created, that ambience. So whether it's a candle, whether it's a diffuser, whether it's an essential oil that just really calms your body, it's really healthy to have that in that space. Now, another one is really allowing for imperfection and not meeting people's expectations. I think no matter how hard you try with food, a party, an event, it's never truly going to live up to anyone's expectations, and we have to allow for imperfection ourselves. I think we often put pressure on ourselves, right? A lot of the pressure around the holiday time is on ourselves. Are we going to organize a good enough party? Are we going to make good enough food? Are people going to think we're good hosts? And we're constantly worried about how people are going to think of us. And the truth is that no one really ever is going to be fully satisfied, not because you're not great, but because people have so many different expectations and you can't appeal to every single person. I think sometimes we get so lost trying to make sure that everyone's happy that no one's happy. Whereas if we actually just allowed for imperfection and tried our best, more people would get our energy. And remember that people are looking to feel love through you, not through what you give them. And I think this is something that I've noticed so much. If I go to someone's home, I'm deeply touched by how they speak to me, how they welcome me, how they connect with me, so much more than what was in the gift bag or what was for dinner. The care and the attention in mood and spirit and energy goes much longer way, and it's something you can fully control. Now, I think it's also important at this time to remember that we focus on what truly matters: experiences and human connection and memories, making new memories. It's not the gifts, it's not the food, it's not, that doesn't make the memories. What makes the memories is that human connection. And I really hope that the people that you're worried about seeing, I hope you practice conversations before. I hope you prepare in advance for those conversations. And the best way to do that is to think about who are the people that are going to trigger you, what are they going to say, and practice your response now before you go there. That's the best way to do it, because what that does is it means that now when you hear those words, you already knew they were coming and you've already programmed yourself to not give an instinctual response, but to give a practiced response. What the practiced response does is it allows you to respond without anxiety. I find it shocking how so many people will know the person who's going to trigger them. They know that that person's going to upset them, and then they still let that person upset them. If you know someone is going to upset you, be upset now and practice how you respond to make sure you don't feel upset in the moment. When you practice that conversation now, when you practice that feeling, I do this all the time. When I was about to go off and become a monk, whenever I'd be with my family, they'd always be like, why are you going to be a monk? Why are you going to do this? I knew I was going to have those questions, and I responded by saying, it's just something that means a lot to me. And sometimes they would laugh at that. Sometimes they would make fun of that. And I would just say, okay, I would move on with it because I realized it didn't affect my life. It didn't affect my decision. And that's what I've realized, that winning an argument with your family doesn't solve anything. It doesn't solve what's happening in the real world. And therefore allowing yourself just the space to not have to make your holidays a place of debate creates so much peace and declutters the mind. And the final thing I want to say is make sure you take some time to reflect. This is one of the things that's often avoided until the 1st of January. I'm going to do an amazing episode in the next couple of weeks about how to reflect during this time. And I really, truly hope that you'll make time for that, because you've done some amazing things this year. You have achieved some incredible things this year. And I want you to take a moment